Hi you guys, this is Allison hanging out in my space to craft, and my daughter asked me to make a couple of birthday cards for her to give to her half-brother and sister. They're twins and they go to school at Texas Tech and their birthday is coming up. So she does not ask me to craft for her that often. So when she does, of course, I'm going to accommodate. So I have the first card stuff picked out. I have this really fun paper, stripes on the back, and then this fun pattern on the front. And I love the colors, and they're very bright, springy, and very birthday. So I'm going to do that. So I went onto Pinterest to look for a card layout that I like. I will post it up in one of the corners of the video so that you can see what I'm going after. It calls for a background and an embossed card base, not card base, but face, an embossed face. I think I'm going to do the yellow for the embossed part. Pulled this out of my scraps, so I need to make sure that the part that I'm cutting and embossing is here because this is a little faded. I don't want that from sitting in my scrap bin. And then I'm going to use this to outline or mat the pieces of paper. And then it calls for two patterns. So I'm going to do this side for the block, and then I'm going to do this side for the banner. And then I already happen to have two happy birthday sentiments set aside from when I stashed some sentiments. So if you haven't seen me do that, it's on a video called Stashing Sentiments. So that makes it a lot faster for me to make a card. So I'm just going to begin. I need to pick out an embossing folder for this. So hold 1 minute and let me find an embossing folder. Okay, so I pulled out two choices for embossing folders. This is honestly my oldest embossing folder. It's an old Stampin' Up! One. Let me just see how that will look with this. It sort of does invoke similar, a little fancier than this, but similar. So that might be good. This one is from Spellbinders, and it's a little more graphic, but still invokes that same shape. I think I'm going to try this one because it's new and I haven't used it before, and this one's super old. I've used it a bunch. Well, not a bunch. I don't use my embossing folders as much as I should. But let's try this new one. And right on cue, my dogs go crazy. Oh, I'm not going to use that paper. I'm going to use this paper. So I want to make sure I cut a piece large enough. And it's going to be the full background. So I'm just going to cut it, since this is such a big embossing folder, I'm going to cut this a little bit larger than I need. Trim off this sort of tattered end here. And let's see. I'm going to emboss this. All right, I'll run this through my machine and I'll be back. Oh, wow, that came out beautiful. Don't know if you can see it. That's a pretty good view of it. All right, so that's the background, and I think that I will leave a little bit of a white border, but just tiny. So let me go ahead and trim this. Let's see. start it there. And I want to do the tiniest of borders. So if this is 4 and I'm going to do like a 1/16 of an inch. So this is 4 1/4. So I'm going to do this to 4 1/4. I'm going to do it to 4 1/8. So I only get a 1/16 of an inch on either side. Okay. And then let's make sure I get this straight. Since I, sort of hand cut this paper. Let's do this side. I'm going to make sure both sides are straight to start with. My trimmer's not enjoying this, the bumps in the texture very much. All right, and so then this is standard A2 card, so it's 5 1/2, and I want a 1/16 of an inch, so I'm going to do 5 3/8. Make sure I'm getting cutting off keeping the prettiest parts. 5 3/8. All right. A few little scraps. I don't know if that's called for in the design. I think it might be. So I'll just keep it. All right, so that's going to be my looks like it's about a 2-inch, two 2-inch strips. One is a box and one is a fishtail banner. I think that will work for both. So let's just, the first one is a little less, I'm not following specific instructions, I'm just kind of winging it. So we'll make this one 4 3/4. And the other one will be a little shorter. So let's see. I want it to go almost all the way. Yeah, we'll start with that. So that will go here. Yeah, that looks about right by the time you mat it. That will go here, and then a fishtail banner with the other side that will be about 1/2 inch shorter. So that was 4 3/4. So I'm going to do this one about 4 inches for the fishtail banner. And if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Okay, so then I need to mat both of these. And I'm going to use this. All right, guys, so I've sped this part up. The next couple of parts just to finish off this card because it's just a lot of gluing and cutting and assembly. And it's better just to watch it than to hear all of my commentary as I go along. So I'll just let you guys enjoy this for a couple of minutes. And I'll be back in regular speed at the end to start on the next card. I'm ready for card number 2 today. This one is for Kate, and I need to make one for Jack, the other twin, and so I want to do more of a masculine card. I don't get to do those as often. So here's my thought process. I went stash busting. I started in green and I found this, even though it's a multicolor. But I love this color combination. And in the same folder of scraps, I found this green polka dot, which is a little bit darker than this green, but it's kind of between the two greens. So I'm happy with that. So those are fun. Now, then I needed to find matting papers to match them. So I found this, which I love. So I think I'll do kind of a wide, do this as a base. So here's my thought process. This and this are going to be the base of the card. And then I love this zigzag. So I'm going to do zigzag down the card and mat that zigzag with this, which is a really good color match for this teal in this paper. But I don't have a full sheet of this, so I can't use it as a mat for the whole card because I would have a seam somewhere and I don't want to be able to see the seam. Though I might, if I did it tiny enough, I might be able to hide the seam. But it's a white core, I think, so that makes it harder to hide. So then I went and looked at my dies, and I have this one, and I'm not sure if I've used it yet. It says happy birthday, but it's pretty wide. So when I look at the card base, it would be really too wide to go on here. It'd be a little crunch. So I'd have to do it this way, which would mean that to do my zigzags, though I could do the zigzags across, the zigzags, I wouldn't get to show as many. So I really want the card to be this way so that I can get more of those zigzags on the card. So I'm going to use this one, which I can tell I haven't used yet because it's not pulled apart. So in my homework, I am going to fussy cut these zigzags, and I'm going to do at least one of each color. I may even choose to make it a little bit wider than that. Actually, if I go to the outside edge of this, that might work. So I'm going to cut a row of zigzag in each of the stripes. I'm going to cut this to be a mat. I'm going to cut this to go inside that mat with a pretty, probably not quite a 1/4 inch, but at least an 1/8 inch mat so that color shows. And then I will die cut my happy birthday, cut this apart and die cut my happy birthday in this paper with this as a shadow. And I think that will all look great together. So let me go off and cut those things, and then we'll come back to double check the dry fit and make sure that we're happy with it. Okay, so I got this out. I just hand cut. I didn't measure. It's not 100% perfect, but I think it's good enough. I went to dry fit this on here and see how I liked it. And I'm like, you know, this is going to be almost the only color of this on there. I need to add more. And then I figured out, I was worried about the seam showing, but if I mat this and it's under this, you won't see the seam and I can still use the scrap. So that's what I'm doing. We'll pull those off in just a minute. So I glued it on that part, and then we're going to cut this, and then I'm going to glue this side on. And hopefully no one will be the wiser. So I'm gonna remove a little bit of this bulk. Make sure I get all the way up there. Okay. Just make sure I line it up evenly. And then I can cut it. Yay! Sneaky scraps. So you can't tell. I'm gonna like that much better. All right, and then this will be here. Hopefully this cut out well. It's pretty thin paper and I didn't really adjust my my sandwich. So hopefully it looks like it cut out. What do I have in the way of, oh, I know what I can do. I have these, which is a really pretty kind of coppery color. Oh, I don't have a color thing on here, but they're kind of coppery and it's going to evoke this. So I'm going to do some dots here and let that dry. Very cute. All right, so I used a sketch for this one, and I let the paper talk to me with the zigzag for this one. 2 fun happy birthday cards. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like and subscribe.